Hey there. Most of us wear shoes when we go outside, right? Shoes are there to keep our precious feet away from the nasty ground. This is exactly how I feel about Rappa. She is excellent at what she does, like a dependable pair of Jordans. But there are other shoe options out there that can also keep your feet away from the ground. The point is, she does not bring anything new to the table, but that doesn't make her worthless. So let's dive into her beta kit, her overall skills, playstyle, potential issues, the good, the bad, and is she worth following in my opinion. Rappa is a break-focused damage dealer who excels in situations with multiple enemies. You can probably skip over to the next part because her kit is basically a reskin of Firefly's kit. The Firefly money printer made Hoyo so much money that they're just making a Firefly sequel, Part 2 Electric. Okay. All jokes aside, they do have some differences. Let's go over what Rappa does, starting with her forms. Rappa has two forms. First is her basic form. There's really nothing mind-blowing here. Her basic attack is just a regular single target attack. Her skill does damage to all enemies. Her talent is where it gets a little bit interesting. It will activate whenever you weakness break an enemy. This is important. She does not have to be the one to land the blow. It could be anyone on the team. As long as enemies' toughness bars gets depleted, Rappa's talent will proc. Her talent does the following. 1. Applies imaginary break effect. 2. Gain 1 charge stack. This is basically a damage amplifier. Long story short, the more charge stack she has, the more damage she will do in her enhanced form. So, more stacks, more damage. Simple, right? 3. If the enemy is an elite tier or higher enemy, then she will regenerate 10 energy plus an additional 1 charge stack. Up next, her ult. It allows her to transform into her enhanced form, giving her 3 stacks of Chroma Ink. Do keep in mind, Chroma Ink is not the same as the charge stacks I mentioned 10 seconds ago. Chroma Ink is basically the SP that her enhanced form uses in order to attack. So when it runs out, she reverts back into her basic form. Anyways, she also immediately gained an extra turn, similar to Jingliu's transformation. Moving forward, let's talk about her enhanced form. Once she enters her enhanced form, she will gain a healthy amount of stat boost, 50% increase in weakness break efficiency, and 30% boost to break effect. Just like Firefly, her attack in this form has her own super break. I should mention that she can't use her skill, nor can she use her ult while she's in this form. She can only use her enhanced basic attack, which is all she needs to be honest. Good news is, she does still regenerate energy, so it makes it a lot easier for her to keep using her enhanced form more often. So, what does all of this really mean for her playstyle? Long story short, Rappa wants to do 2 things in order to maximize her big PP damage. Number 1, focus on breaking the toughness bars of as many enemies as possible. A large portion of Rappa's damage comes from her charge stack and her built-in super break. Remember, she gets a charge stack whenever you weakness break an enemy. The more charge stacks she have, the higher the damage multiplier on her enhanced basic will be. Number 2, give her a friend. Since Rappa doesn't consume any SP during her enhanced form, this means you should surround her with teammates who can make use of any surplus SP. The one who fits this description the best right now is probably Lingsha, but Lingsha does come with her own baggage, more on that later. Moving on, are there any major issues, red flags? Just look at her hair color. It's pink. Staying true to anime logic, her red flags are so bright that it's essentially a giant red stop sign. You know how she's technically a space ninja? Imagine a ninja character having a base speed of 96. This puts her down as one of the slowest base speeds in the game, tied with Jingliu, Himeko, and Misha at 96 speed. Fortunately, her talent will proc regardless of who is landing the blow. Trailblazer could weakness break, and Rappa will get her talent activated. Lingsha can weakness break, and Rappa will still get her talent activated. You get the point. Do keep in mind that she also has a few speed comments in her traces, so her actual speed will be slightly higher, especially if she has teammates that give team-wide speed buffs like Ruan Mei. Speaking of Ruan Mei, the second potential issue that she might run into is that she has to fight her weakness break siblings for their best in slot teammates. Look, let's face it, if we could clone Ruan Mei and start giving out Ruan Meis to everyone, then we would. But there's only one copy of her, so who's getting her? Ruan Mei is the smart girl in school who everybody wants on their group project. Firefly, Boottail, and Rappa all want Ruan Mei on their team. Heck, some non-break damage dealers would also want a piece of Ruan Mei. Who wouldn't? To make matters slightly worse, this isn't just with Ruan Mei. The same can be said about Harmony MC and Lingsha. What I'm trying to point out is that if you're using any of these characters on your current teams, then do know that Rappa will also want them as teammates. So you're gonna have to make a choice on who to prioritize. And finally, about the other options. As I mentioned earlier, Rappa doesn't bring anything new to the table. Her playstyle is break focused. There are currently 2 other break focused damage dealers, with more likely to come out in the future. Plus, if you need help on AoE content, then there are even more options to pick from, some of which are even free to play. Moving on, let's rewind back to the topic of Ruan Mei, Trailblazer, and Lingsha. Let's talk about the compatibility. They are the big 3 best in slot for break-focused teams. While Rappa might not need all 3 of them, it would be nice to have some of them. Why is that? Let's start with Harmony Trailblazer. Harmony MC provides super break to everyone on the team. That's not a secret. Just like with Firefly, Rappa not only has her own super break, she can also synergize with Harmony MC's super break. Her enhanced basic attack, which is her main source of damage, is a 3-hit combo with the last hit doing the most amount of damage. The most important synergy here is that the 3rd hit on her enhanced auto attack should be triggering Harmony MC's super break twice. This means as of right now in the beta, her 3rd hit will trigger 3 super breaks. 1 super break from her trace, 1 super break from Harmony MC, and additional super break from Harmony MC because Rappa's talent will trigger a toughness reduction, which is the key to triggering Harmony MC's super break. Plus, the cherry on top is that Harmony MC is free. Up next is Ruan Mei. This might be a bit tricky. Rappa would like to take advantage of her trace that gives her energy recovery upon weakness breaking elite tier enemies. Ruan Mei's ult will delay enemies recovering from weakness break. There's a slight conflict here. Rappa wants to weakness break enemies, especially elite ones, right? Let them recover and then weakness break them again. This way she can regenerate extra energy and get more charge stacks. Ruan Mei's delay from her ult conflicts with that. With that said though, this should not be a huge concern because Rappa can still generate energy using her enhanced basic attacks. With how much damage Rappa can nuke out, especially with the right supporting cast, she likely won't need to ult more than once or twice per enemy wave. Also, the rest of Ruan Mei's kit is a wet dream for any weakness break damage dealers. Let me just list them out all here. The speed buff is nice to have, since Rappa's base speed is, remember, relatively low. Weakness break efficiency buff is a must-have on any break teams. I can go on, but you probably get the point. Now, just imagine this. All of Ruan Mei's, Lingsha's, and Harmony MC's buffs superimposed onto a max charge stacks of Rappa, who is about to use her enhanced basic attack. That 3rd hit is going to be a nuke. Finally, Lingsha. An underrated part of Rappa's kit is that even though she doesn't have a weakness break implant like her other 2 weakness break siblings, she can still reduce any enemy's toughness bars with her enhanced basic attacks. If you've been using Lingsha on Firefly's team, then you will have noticed how much damage Lingsha can dish out to weakness broken enemies. No, seriously, sub DPS Lingsha feels legit. Expect a similar level of damage from her on Rappa's team if, and only if, Harmony MC and Ruan Mei are also part of the team. Being a fire element character, Lingsha can also help weakness break pesky enemies that are weak to fire but not imaginary. In best case scenarios where enemies are weak to both fire and imaginary, expect those enemies to be weakness broken by turn 1. Moving on, let's talk about her future. What I'm about to say are slightly biased speculations, also known as coping. Rappa's future is the least of her concern. She belongs to the Weakness Break playstyle faction. You know who's the poster child for this playstyle? Firefly. That is one of Hoyo's favorite child. Their Weakness Break playstyle is eating good right now. Just look at their supporting cast. I expect that they will continue to get more characters for this playstyle. Speaking of which, Harmony MC is free, right? I would not put it past Hoyo if they're already planning on making a break support who will eventually replace Harmony MC. Spoiler alerts, a certain Foxian who might be making her debut soon is rumored to be a break support. Is that just a silly coincidence? Who knows? Moving on, overall, I think Rappa is a solid character to have, especially if you've been having trouble clearing content with multiple enemies, such as Pure Fiction. I personally would not pull on her simply because she's a bit redundant for my account. Keyword, my account. While she won't provide much value to my account, that may not be the case for yours. To sum up everything in like 2 sentences, if you already have Firefly and or Boottail, then Rappa seems to be a bit redundant, right? You already have a break-focused playstyle. On the subject of redundancy, if you have already invested in AoE specialists like Jade, Argenti, and even the cheat code Acheron, then once again, Rappa doesn't provide as much value as she should. On the other hand, if you don't have any of the current break damage dealers, and you need help with AoE content, then Rappa's value goes to the moon. With enough stacks and the correct team setup, Rappa can certainly kaboom any AoE content with relative ease. At the end of the day, the value that she brings is relative to your account. None of this actually matters if you like her. Aesthetics over mechanics. With that said, are you pulling for her? Yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. Okay, bye.